ways that they're able to track us down is through dogs. Okay, so you've got a dog out there, you have the dog handler, and they're tracking a sniper team. All right. I, as a sniper in my sniper hide, I look out, I see the dog team coming. I have the dog, and I have the handler. So ask yourself, as a sniper, which one would I shoot to save my own life? Any answer?
The hammer.
Okay, the dog?
I'd say the hammer.
Dog? No?
I'm just the dog. I'm not the dog.
Okay.
Sorry.
This might not be the class for you. Okay, so we got the dog, we got the handler, sir. The handler. Okay. The answer is the handler.
Okay, good.
Let me tell you why. Okay, that dog is trained with that handler. That dog will do nothing that handler is not there to tell it to do. So if that handler is dead, the dog has become useless. Okay, and he can no longer track it. So my point with that is, without a person behind this gun, that gun is useless. Okay? And I'm not trying to make a political point or anything like that, but I mean, we do need to leave here, and I need to check my ball to make sure my guns haven't got out of it and done something stupid without me being right. But in all seriousness, that gun is not going to work unless somebody's behind it. Okay? The other point is that when we work with a gun, we control the person, we don't control the gun. And now there's a lot of things on YouTube and there's arguments on the internet about, hey, do I grab the gun when I execute the principles and my techniques, or do I grab the person? And so that whole point of that story was you control the person, because it will not do anything, okay, without that person controlling that gun. Also with that, anytime with gun work, the KISS principle is applied. Anybody know what the KISS principle is? Keep it simple, stupid. I love watching the videos on the internet about guys that come up, snatch a gun away, and take it all apart in 5 seconds, and the magazine drops out. Okay? It's not realistic. It does not happen the way that it happens in the movie. We have to keep it simple. Plus, too, when we're training Marines, we have to keep it simple, because they can't learn beyond certain points.
Are we still doing that?
All right. Once again, do not shoot the dog. All right. All right. So we're gonna do a little bit of work today with the pistol. We're not going to work from a holster or anything like that. We're going to work with a pistol presented, and we're just going to go over 3 principles. And there are already 3 principles that you were practicing last night and today. So it's going to be simple and easy for you. But this is what we're doing. The only thing is there's a dangerous weapon in that other person's hand. Okay. All right. So starting out, before we hand the guns out, we'll have to share. Like I said, I apologize that I don't have more guns. These things are like $50 a piece. And the way that I acquired all my training weapons were through work. And finally, they didn't let me take any. They made sure they shook me down before I left work and checked my training bag. Okay? That's it. Okay, first thing, we've already talked about center lines. When somebody presents a gun to you, okay, it's usually right there on the center line. They want to shoot you. They want to shoot you in the chest. So I need to get off that center line. Everything you've already learned today, we've talked about getting off that center line. Whether it was judo, all right, the Chinese martial arts, boxing, we want to get away from the business end of this gun. And as Sensei Steve or Grandmaster Walk talked about last night, we always want 2 points of contact. So first I'm going to get off the center line. Now George is trained, all right? He's a military guy. Most folks that are trained as civilians always use 2 hands. We know that, out in the rural world that's not always the case, but we will train both, single hand and double hand holding, to show you that, it works for both, okay? So the first thing that I want to do is I want to get off that center line. I do not want to be in front of this weapon. Now, we all know the 21-foot rule. If he has a weapon out, I've got 21 feet where I can actually get up, you know, if it's holstered and actually attack. All right, we're all in different forms of physical condition. That may not always be the case. But if I'm here and he's pointing a weapon at me, what do you think I can do? Very little. Okay, I'm going to put my hands up. I'm going to say, sir, I am reaching for my wallet now. I'm going to pull that out and I'm going to drop it in front of him. Because at this point, if he wants to kill me, he is going to kill me. All right, this is not Hollywood. But what I want to do is, you know, get that distance closed. The hands up in today's litigation, obviously he's the aggressor, I'm not. All right? So by using Ayumiyashi, or what some call the C-step or the circle step, I'm going to take a step forward. As I take that step forward, I am now off his center line. Now, one thing I want to be cognizant of is my arm not in front of that weapon. With my hands up, all I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my hands down. One on top of the weapon, one underneath. I call it smothering, all right? Just like your Waffle House hash brown, but I want to smother and cover. Okay? So I am going to smother him. All right? As you saw, first principle, I came off the center line. All right? We still have a pretty good distance in between us. Now, I'll tell you, the reason we don't put our hands on top of the weapon, and this has been, you know, arguments with FBI and a lot of folks, the reason we don't put our hands on top of the weapon, one, that weapon fires, okay, it's going to be hot. People say, you can get past that. The other two, if it does rechamber that next round, you're going to get it caught in the slide, so you got skin in there, okay? So then folks will say, hey, you know what? I can take it out of battery by pushing that slide back. Okay, on the weapon, I take it out of battery, and it's not going to fire. Okay, having taught concealed weapon classes, you know, a lot, and then teaching the military, I can't get some folks to pull the slide back and have enough strength to get a slide back, let alone use your hand to pull that out of battery or push it in and get it out. Okay, remember, we got to keep it simple. Talked about the knife, looking at the knife, you might grab the knife, but that's not the case. I'm not looking at the gun, I'm looking at him. So I step in, I smother and cover. Now, unlike the knife and putting it back into him, I actually want to continue to smother this, and I'm going to pull it into my body. Okay? Once it's back into my body, I need to ensure that one of the reasons bringing it into the body is that I'm controlling it. I am now controlling him, I'm not controlling the weapon. Also, too, all right, Joe may be my grandma at McDonald's, and this is where I'm executing this. I don't want that pointing at my grandma. All right, so we call it flagging. Anytime that barrel is pointed at somebody, you're flagging, especially if they're a friend. All right, so once I have smothered and covered, I want to ensure that it's not pointed at anybody, so I can face it down. All right. You can face it up, but make sure it's away from you, because the last thing I want to do, all right, is bring that up so it's facing me. So it's facing away, it's at an angle, and what's he going to do as soon as I grab hold of him and pull him to me? He's going to pull away, right? He's going to try to get that weapon away. What have we already learned? We go with him, okay? So as he's pulling, I'm just going to go with him. As I do, if he maintains control of that weapon, if I do, we're going to end up here. I don't want to be on the ground, but he's going to be down, and that weapon is now facing him. Okay? At this point, what else did we learn in our classes? Is we're grabbing a hold of something, and we put that kodo-gayash on him. Okay? We lose strength in our hands. All right? So he's lost strength in his hands. He may have lost enough strength to where he can't pull that trigger. But if he can pull that trigger and I'm squeezing, he will pull that trigger on himself. Or I can help him pull that trigger, okay, and let that go. Litigation, my finger never touched that trigger, okay? So we're just going back. Once again, keeping it extremely simple. Weapon is out. I step in, smother cover. I bring the weapon into me, ensuring that it's not flagging anyone. Okay, move it, and as he pulls back, I'm just going to go back with it. Now, if he's lost enough grip and I can take that weapon away, all right, I've got it. All right, so let's try that one a couple of times. Are there any questions before we pair up with the gun? Yes, sir.
If his finger is on the trigger, you turn his hand, isn't it likely that he's going to pull that trigger while you're rotating his wrist?
Just by accident.
It could be by accident, but not necessarily. Once again, that principle is we make those fists and we bring that fist in, we start to loosen up and we lose strength in there. At that point, I am putting so much pressure on that wrist because now, not only, before we just had our hands on the wrist as we executed Budo Gayash. Now he has another piece in his hand that is putting more pressure on him. Okay? But it may be enough to take the pressure off the trigger. But once again, if you need that pressure on the trigger, and I'm not a lawyer.
I am.
That's what I
The legal
pointed
term for
out.
that is shit happens.
Okay. But once again, there's my finger, but I have never touched that trigger. Okay? He's down, trigger is squeezed. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Is there anything about, I'm not big with the guns, rifles, and shotguns from my speed, but is there anything about the gun, the way it's going to fit in the hand that we could use to help? So, teeny hands, right? If I can make his hand very uncomfortable, what can I think about to make his hand more uncomfortable so it's easy for me to turn with his hands?
Great. So if you see my hands, I'm not taking my hand and covering his hands if I have small hands. I have my hand on top, and I have my hand on the bottom
Of the gun.
of the gun. Right, so it's right here. So as I turn back, all right, it's nothing more than the Budo Gayash we've gone over all day long. And so the size of your hands isn't going to matter.
Yeah, I was just hoping I could drive something into his palm or
Okay.
some angle.
Well, how about you drive his arm back into his head?
Oh, yes, that's
So something, I may not be able to get this. Look how he's got it up. He might be a big, strong guy.
Yep.
But then what did we learn today? Okay, back over the shoulder. One thing you need to be careful of, especially when you're driving back over the shoulder, is that we don't bring it back into us and flag our own bodies as we go down. Okay, so just a review before we start. Hands are up. I take my step. My hands just drop down. I smother and cover. Okay, as he starts to pull back, I'm just going to go with him. If I can get the weapon out of his hand, as you see, I didn't put my finger on the trigger. Remove that weapon. Back away from him. He starts to reach. Do what you need to do. I'm not teaching you to kill anybody. Okay? I'm teaching you to defend yourself. All right. Let's pair up.